They're saying, I have these cravings. You know for a fact if they're following this program, because they will never have cravings, they will never be hungry. If they're hungry, you know they're not following it. We know it because we've done it over 250 people in clinical trials now on this, and we know that's the outcome. Even more important than the weight loss, though, and everybody loves their bathroom scales, even more important, though, is we're changing body fat. This is percent body fat, which is kind of a combination of how much fat and how much muscle you have in your body. On the cereal breakfast after 90 days, they have significantly more fat than on the Q-Burn program. The Q-Burn program will reduce the amount of body fat relative to your muscle. It makes you lose fat and protect your muscle. People on the cereal breakfast will lose body fat, but they'll also lose just as much protein. So they get to the end and they're just as fat as they were before. We did a study way back when we were first getting into this. We were doing malnutrition, and we had a colony of what were genetically fat animals. They were fat rats. And we basically said, we're going to look at some of these quick loss, weight loss diets. And so we had a group of animals, and they would lose 50% of their weight. And so we took them from being a size 18 to a size 9, but they were just as fat at the end. So we took a big fat rat and made him a small fat rat. But they were still fat, and they were just as unhealthy. They were just as prone to heart disease, just as prone to diabetes as they were when they were bigger. They just look better on the scale, right? We're going to change body composition. One of the first things that you're going to learn is that it's no longer designing a diet, it's designing meals. That's why the shake, that's why the stick have been invented. There are ways that we found that our subjects needed. We didn't have these products. We had to go out and create things with cottage cheese and yogurt and all sorts of things. We now have products that are perfectly matched to the outcome. You're going to create each meal. Basically, we're going to design meals around a target of 30 grams of high-quality protein each meal. We're going to have a ratio of carbs to protein of about 1 to 1. And we're going to invent an entirely new concept of carb-to-fiber ratio, which explains all of the glycemic index nonsense you've been hearing. Simple, straightforward, easy to live with. And the key meal to correct in all of this is breakfast. If you don't get breakfast right, you will fail. That's why we invented the shake. The shake and the quick start approach is going to get you on the right track with a perfectly balanced product that will make this work from day one. You don't have to think about anything. Start off with the shake. We'll correct the other pieces as you go along. It's a process that builds. When we teach this, we usually teach it over a period of 2 or 3 weeks. We want people to slowly understand it. The Quick Start Guide will get you going. The full book will give you the explanation to live with forever. It's just as good long term as it is during weight loss. You don't lose weight short term, you lose weight for a lifetime. I want to emphasize one more thing about that breakfast pattern. What we're going to be looking for, this was a paper that I wrote in January, February for the U.S. Dietary Guideline Committee that's going on right now. It's published in Nutrition and Metabolism. It's basically telling them it's high time that they rethink the protein concept, but they won't. But anyway, that's beside the point. We'll get to that. The politics and inertia of public policy and nutrition is very embedded in the food industry. They don't necessarily do things for the right reasons. They frequently do things for political or economic reasons. Surprise, right? Nutrition's no more sacred, frankly. On the left side, what we want is a balanced meal. What we're going to do is structure your meals around those targets. And if you look at the dark bar through there, it says maximum protein synthesis. That's what it takes. Protein synthesis is a threshold per meal. If you have too little protein, you get no effect. You need to get up to a certain level, and what we've learned is how to do it most efficiently. The products are designed to hit those targets without any thought. Basically, so we're after a balanced protein. Most Americans eat like on the right. It's called skewed, not screwed, right? No. Most Americans eat like on the right side, the skewed, no, I can't say it. The skewed protein side, sorry. What we have found is Americans eat about 65% of their protein after 7 at night. Yeah, look guilty, right? I did last night too, sorry. They eat the majority of their protein after 6:30 at night. They have very little at lunch and very little at breakfast. Remember when I said you get up after an overnight period of fasting and you're in a catabolic condition? Most people spend all day that way. They don't have enough protein until 7 at night. And what's important about that is when you trigger protein synthesis, it only lasts for a little while. You get about a 3-hour curve after a meal. So basically, with an average American diet, what you're doing is you get about from about 7 to 10 at night, you're in a positive protein balance where you're protecting your muscle. And the other 21 hours, you're negative. That becomes really important when you're in caloric deficiency for weight loss because you're losing muscle mass. What we've got to do is correct that. We need to have at least 3 meals per day where you're getting that positive balance to protect your muscles and protect your bone. You hear all this stuff about calcium and bone, for example. Protein's the secret. Protein is what you build bone on. Calcium is simply passively deposited. The secret to adult health is protein for muscle and bone. Does it make a difference? Here's another body fat. This is a tough experiment to do in humans, so this is actually one from rats. Basically, we took those two types of protein, the balanced form and the skewed form, and what we did was we selected the exact same protein. We took a very high-quality protein, the same amount, and we fed it in one form where it was balanced 3 times a day, and the other form we fed it all in dinner, like Americans eat it, just like that pattern I showed you a minute ago. And what we found is after 90 days, after the burn period, what we found was the animals eating the exact same food, the exact same calories, and the exact same protein had more fat, had twice as much fat as the other ones. Where you put the protein is the key. The amount, the type, and the placement, the timing are keys. We're going to correct it. Results, proven and sustainable, totally published, leading journals of nutrition in the world. What we find, 90 days, the burn section, the average loss, obviously people don't all follow diets equally, but the average published loss was 20 pounds. Fat was 17. Almost all of it was fat. That's the key. And the real key is, do you adopt it as a lifestyle? It's not how many pounds you lost in your life, it's how many you didn't regain, right? 12 months out after the lifestyle, now they've now lost 40 pounds, 36 pounds. 26 of it was fat. You lose a little bit of lean just because you get smaller, right? You're carrying around less weight. What we're looking for is to get about 85, 90% of it to be fat. Let's compare it to standards. This is the National Institutes of Health guidelines for the weight loss. This is the best diets out there. This is the best published. We top it. And look at the fat. Substantially more body fat. NIH out, almost double the amount of body fat with this program. NIH, National Institutes of Health, these are the cornerstone. This is what the guidelines are. This isn't quackery. This is the standard of the medical industry. We're better. Just leave you with a couple of thoughts. If you want optimum health, you have to live an optimum lifestyle. There's no quick fix to obesity, but there's a right way to live. What we have is the perfect diet for a perfect lifestyle. That's what Kivana is going to bring you. And the Kivana Metabolic Lifestyle delivers. I am really, really pleased to join with all of you to bring this type of a diet to the public. I think we can have a heck of a lot of fun. We're all going to learn a lot about it, and this really is it, folks. Thank you. Thank you, guys.